All right, let's talk about geometric sequences. We talked about arithmetic sequences in the fall semester. Now we're talking about geometric sequences. So a sequence is a group of numbers that follows a pattern. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is a sequence. Now, a geometric sequence is a group of numbers that are related by multiplication. Now, the arithmetic sequences were related by addition. Now these guys are related by multiplication. For example, we have 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. So how are those numbers getting bigger? What do we have to multiply the 4 by to get to the 8? Just to review, the term is each number in the sequence. You have the first term, the second term, the third term, so on and so forth. Now, the common ratio R, that's the number you multiply by to get to the next term. So the common ratio up here was 2 because we're going to multiply the 8 by 2 to get to 16. The 16 is going to be multiplied by 2 to get to the 32, and then the 32 is going to be multiplied by 2 to get to the 64. Now, you can also be asked what the sum of a geometric sequence is. And that's when a sum is when you add up all the terms in the geometric sequence. Now, let's go ahead and make a geometric sequence. First, pick a number. It can be any number. Write it down here. Now, I'm going to use the number 57. Now, pick a common ratio. Make sure you don't pick the common ratio of the person next to you. Everybody should have a unique number. My common ratio, and I would keep the common ratio between 1 and 10, but you can use any number you want. I'm going to use 2. I don't want you to use 2 because I use 2. Now, when we write out our sequence, the first number is 57. Now I multiply 57 by 2, that's 114. Now I multiply 114 by 2, that's 228. I multiply 228 by 2, I get 456. If I multiply 456 by 2, I get 912. Right? Now, spend a minute, find your geometric sequence, and remember this page is meant to stay in your notes, so keep it nice and clean, and when we're done we will go ahead and glue them in your notebook. Now, let's add up all the numbers in our sequence and find the sum. So if you see my calculator here, I add up all the numbers. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Let's just do the right one. We have 57 plus 114 plus 228 plus 456 plus 912. I just add them all. Whoops, add them all up, and I have 1767. Now spend a minute. Find the sum of your geometric sequence. Now, one additional thing you'll have to do is be able to find the explicit rule for a geometric sequence. So the explicit rule, that's going to equal your starting number and then we're going to multiply that by the common ratio. Now that common ratio is going to be taken up to the exponent of n minus 1. So n minus 1. So to write that a little bit smaller, so if we call our sequence A to the n power is going to be a, the first a, and then we're going to multiply that by our common ratio, which is r. And then r is going to be raised to the n minus 1 exponent. Now, if we're to write this number 1, the first term is 7, the common ratio is 4. So we want to write the first 6 terms. So the first term is 7. 7 times 4 is 28. 28 times 4 is 112. 112 times 4 is 448. 448 times 4 is 1792. Times 4 again is 7,168. Now, if we're going to write the explicit rule, let's just call this a to the n. Well, what's the first term? So the first term here is 7. Now, the common ratio is 4. And then you write to the n minus 1 exponent. Now, you do number 2. Why don't you, the first term is 12, the common ratio is a half, we throw a fraction at you. You find the first 6 terms, and if you have a little extra time, find the explicit rule there. Write out the explicit rule. Now, one nice thing about having the explicit rule is, let's say I wanted to find the 10th term in this sequence. My sequence is 7 times 4 raised to the n minus 1. So if I wanted to find the 10th term, I would write a sub 10, write the 10 little and down low. And my starting number is still 7. My common ratio is still 4. Now, for the 10th term, my n is 10, so I replace that n with a 10, so it's 10 minus 1. I'll grab your calculator out. This is how I want to see it on the test. I want to see it all written out, and then you can use your calculator. So 7 times 4 raised to the power of 10 minus 1. Now, these numbers get big real quick. So our answer here, 1,835,008. So that's 1,835,008. That is a big number. Now, if you look at number 3, which numbers are in the middle? Ask yourself, what do you multiply 24 by to get to 48? What do you multiply 48 by to get to 96? Now this one, it's not too hard to find the common ratio. But if the numbers are a little harder, pick any two. I'm going to pick 96 and 48. It's the second one divided by the first one. So my common ratio here is 2. So to find my missing numbers, I'm going to go 96 times that 2. That's 192. Times 2 is 384. Times 2, well, 768, I already have that. That's not missing. So those are all the numbers. I was only missing 2 numbers in that sequence. Now, if I want to find the sum of that sequence, I just add all those guys up. So we have 24 plus 48 plus 96 plus 192 plus 384 plus 768. So the sum of this sequence would equal 1,512. Alright, I did one. You finish this. Find the sum of this geometric sequence. If you want a little extra test practice, find the explicit formula for that, or the explicit rule. Excellent. Have a great day.